representing North Nashville, author, activist, and community organizer Simone Boyd. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you for that explanation about housing. I'm going to try to ask this question without crying. I believe that housing is a human right, and I don't believe in this city that we have operated from a place of love and care for our unhoused residents. According to Open Table, people have actually died as a result of Mayor Cooper's zeal to close encampments on Jefferson Street, Southside, and Brookmead. In addition, based on how the new Titan Stadium is structured and the financing is structured, what is required to cover the debt, it will be difficult to build affordable housing on the East Bank. So I'm asking you, what is your plan? What is your plan to ensure that we get housing that is available to our most vulnerable neighbors and to families making under $50,000 on the East Bank?
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Mr. Yarborough.
You're exactly right that this city has to do right by everyone who lives here. That's all there is to it. We have to start there. To make that moral commitment real, look, we know how to actually drive affordable housing in the East Bank. Like, we have to prioritize it as we own the land. We need to be in a place where the development doesn't happen unless we are guaranteeing that affordability is built into it. And it doesn't need to be just in the East Bank, because at the end of the day, affordable housing is a strategic imperative for this city. And it's not enough to just do some of the public sector investments that we've done in recent years. This has to become a community-wide effort where we are really drawing in the nonprofit, for-profit resources and bringing new ideas, new dollars, and just leveraging the public investment to do even more going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough. Ms. Campbell.
Yeah, this is an issue of morality. A city that doesn't take care of its homeless is a city that's unethical. And we have to take care of the homeless people in our city. And we have barriers to that, especially when some of the shelters disallow people from bringing family members in or bringing dogs in, or if they work night shifts, they can't come. So we need to make sure that our shelters as intermediary organizations are actually making it possible for people to stay in our shelters. We need to require, and we're not allowed on the state level to do this because the state passed a law to disallow us from requiring it, but we need to look at lease agreements as a workaround for requiring people to provide affordable housing as a component of their building. And we need to look at public land and utilizing public land, because we have a lot of it, to build affordable housing ourselves as a city.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Rowley.
Yep, I was pleased to see or to understand that Nashville has spent more of its federal relief dollars on addressing homelessness than any other city in the country. Now, is that $50 million enough? I don't know, but I was pleased to see that it was the highest of any other city in the country. So the first issue will be making sure that we effectively spend those dollars both on permanent supportive housing and also on temporary housing, because we all know that a government program that is not well managed will not be continued. We have to performance manage those dollars to house the most people in the most equitable and fair way to help increase the housing stock. Secondly, I know that we need to continue to look at all of our economic development tools and how we can think about issues like the Barnes Fund and like our new land that we've taken back or other land that has been underutilized, and use that city-owned land to increase our available housing stock.
Thank you, Ms. Rowley. Ms. Wilhoit.
Yes, continuous investment in the Barnes Fund is necessary. We have to do that. When we're talking about homelessness, or really the unhoused, because everyone is from a home, so they're not homeless. They're the unhoused. In order for us to solve that problem, we have to house our unhoused. That's how we can get results. We have to provide that access to them. And we have to create that through public and private partnerships. Government cannot do it alone. We've always created affordable housing through public and private partnership to address the unhoused and to address affordable housing to be able to live somewhere affordably. So we have to do that even more by providing public and private partnerships and investing in those relationships. And as well, we have to look at other creative ways. Look, I don't know the answer to everything, but I tell you what, I will work hard and find them.
Thank you, Ms. Wilhoit.
Thank you.
Ms. Brooks.
We don't need to work with the developers need to work with us. That's number one. Number two, we need to understand how we got here in the first place. Our property taxes increased, doubled. Number three, we need to have partnerships with hotels, research it, that are up for sale, and so that we can temporarily house those that are not housed, okay? Last but not least, going back to the property taxes, most of us are a half a paycheck, not even a paycheck. A lot of us are half a paycheck away from being houseless, homeless ourselves. So we need to go back, nobody's talking about it, to our property taxes, where the people that built this city, the people that have lived here 20 plus years can still afford to be here tomorrow.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Mr. Gingrich.
The unhoused and overall housing affordability is a crisis in our city. The idea that the people who serve the city, our teachers, our police officers, our firefighters, can't afford to live in the city that they serve is unconscionable. Similarly, having people be homeless is unconscionable. We need to get to work right away. There are at least 3 or 4 things we should be doing. First, we do need to properly fund the Barnes Fund and turbocharge our nonprofit sector. Second, we need to ensure that we are being creative with our private development community in terms of creating the right financial incentives so that they build the affordable housing we need. Third, we do need to use the land that we have as a city to facilitate affordable housing. And the fourth thing I would say is we do need to bring the private sector, as Natisha said, into the unhoused portion of the solution, because there are motels and hotels that can be purchased.
Mr. Wilshire.
So I've actually worked on this issue for the last 3 years. I left a job that I loved in the mayor's office because I saw affordable housing 3 years ago as a major issue for our city. And it is a complex one. Housing affordability is different for each part of the socioeconomic spectrum, right? How do you build housing for someone who has no income is a very different model for how do you build housing for someone who's making the average income for the area. But we need to work on having the appropriate tools for each one of those pieces of the housing infrastructure. It is a supply and demand issue. I have experience. I launched a very ambitious affordable housing plan with Mayor Briley and moved over to MDHA to implement that plan. It was ultimately put on the shelf, but we were able to pivot, bring in outside resources to continue the plan. We'll invest in affordable housing and have different tools to address each piece of this. I've worked on this. We know how to do it. It requires focus. For individuals experiencing homelessness, there are great models around the country that we should emulate. From Houston to Milwaukee, we know how to do it.
Ms. Hurt.
And I've worked on this program for over 12 years with Neighborhood Stabilization program, where we provided hundreds of families with housing. I agree with my colleague here that it is a different situation when you're talking about those who are unhoused. That is something that I do every day as the executive director of StreetWorks. We put people into housing, but there are some underlying issues that we have to address. We have mental health, we have substance abuse disorders, and we have unemployment, and we have to provide them and link them to those services for them to be able to have the wraparound services in order to put them in places that they need. We will partner with churches who already provide room in the inn to provide those temporary spaces until we can actually get the permanent housing. We can also provide portable housing, pallet housing that is going around the country for some housing for individuals for temporary services. And we can also work, right now I have an initiative to put 1,500 houses in place for attainable housing.
Mr. O'Connell.
Thanks. Our unhoused and undocumented Nashvillians are still Nashvillians, and though the state of Tennessee may prefer that they be made so illegal that they can't exist here, as mayor, it's my obligation to make sure that everybody has the resources they need. I have actually fought this administration at multiple steps along the way. They ignored a strategic community plan we already have for our homeless folks. They ignored best practices during COVID. This is why legislation I passed created our brand new Office of Homeless Services that now exists and has a director. We need that director to have all the support she needs to deliver on the promise of smart use of the $50 million we did spend, but we also need to measure our successes in other ways. We will know if the public land we've got on the East Bank and elsewhere in the city is a success if the folks that work in the Titan Stadium that we are about to build can afford to live within a few blocks of the stadium, and that's the only way we'll know.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. Ms. Johnson.
Okay, so on day one, I'm going to put in an executive order that stops all new construction permits. During that time, there's 35 districts. Each district will be responsible for assessing the low income and affordable housing stock they have. During that, we're going to see what districts are carrying the burden of affordable housing and what districts aren't doing their job at all. And so when we see that scale, as everyone's going to see it, it will be a set scale where you cannot fall below that because we need housing. There's about 3,000 people living on the street. That's 85 people per council district. In 6 months, I want to see you house your 85 people in what we've found. We're going to land bank properties that we found that are, we're going to land bank properties that, sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.